Hello everyone, and welcome to Get Well Soon. This is a podcast where us, teenagers like you, explore the ideas and topics surrounding mental well-being and physical well-being. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, extreme ownership. And this is definitely inspired by Jocko Willink, who is a very popular speaker on this subject, and I've read his books and liked all of them. All right, I think we should start off with a quote, and I have a quote right here from him. Good leaders don't make excuses. Instead, they figure out a way to get things done. It's a pretty straightforward quote, but it really gets the message across, which is, you can't make excuses. If you made a mistake, you got to accept that. You can't blame it on someone else. You can't blame it on your circumstances. You just have to admit that you made a mistake.
So you said that was a leader, right? Like
Yeah.
a good leader. So if you're a leader, it's easy to blame it on someone else. It's easier to say it's Liam's fault. This podcast sucks. It's easy to say that, right? But it's like, but if you're a leader, then you can say, how can I help him, or what can I do, or maybe it's not even his fault. Maybe it's something I did, or maybe something that's collectively, Even just like saying like it's someone's fault, like you're taking away the blame when you can be figuring out something to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spending too much time on assigning blame and just to make yourself feel better about, what you may or may not have done, really is just a waste of time, because that's only going to help you, and it's not really helping you. It's just coddling your ego, your brain, into thinking that you make no mistakes.
And I feel like coddling that ego, I feel like that could lead to delusion. And like once you're delusional, like once you make those mistakes and you're delusional, then it's just like a downward spiral. It's like it never ends. So the only way that you can avoid that is by, first of all, just avoiding mistakes. And second of all, if you made the mistake, you acknowledge it, and then you look back and make a plan to try to adjust and improve on that so that doesn't happen again.
So, all right, let's take a situation, right? Like, it's kind of similar to like the Liam situation I just mentioned. So, like, let's say you're like a teacher or something, and then you have students, and then they do all really bad on the test, right? And then it's easy to say, these kids are dumb or something, or they're not paying attention, or they don't care about the subject. But being a good leader, you'd have to say, what can I do? You're the teacher, right? There's plenty you can do. You can make it more engaging for them. You can help them understand why this is important. Yeah, when you're a leader, it can be easy to blame on others, but you really have to, as a leader, it's your responsibility, right?
Yeah, definitely. And this doesn't just apply to like a group setting. Like, it applies to like teams, like a sports team. In the corporate world, like if you run a business or whatever, and everyone can act like a leader, even if you're not like the CEO or anything like that. It's about portraying these traits in a way that makes you able to be looked up to by anyone, even if they're positionally above you or below you. It doesn't matter. It's just about your attitude.
They call that being like a natural leader.
Mm-hmm.
So those traits, I guess, would be like taking responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just putting the blame on others. And this actually makes me think, I think not only can you put blame on others, you can also put blame on circumstances and things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like even like yourself, like saying like, I'm not good at something. You can figure out a way to get better at it, right? Or a circumstance like, this is like the school sucks. It's not doing well to teach me or whatever, or they don't have enough resources. Maybe it does suck, but there's still stuff there that you can do. You can still like maybe read the textbooks or something, or maybe online there's more resources you can do. Maybe you could switch schools, I guess with like those qualities, it's kind of like being a problem solver instead of just looking for the easy way out. Like, I guess would be like coddling your ego, like saying it's not your fault. But the harder thing to do is to find those solutions to those problems.
It reminds me of the growth versus fixed mindset episode we did. Like when you say, oh, I'm just not good at math, or oh, I'm just not good at whatever it is, that's like a fixed mindset. You need to realize that you can make the most of whatever situation you're in, rather than using it as like an excuse or an explanation for why you're doing the way you're doing.
Yeah, I feel like when you have that fixed mindset, I feel like you're limiting yourself. When you don't take responsibility, like maybe that could affect, like Dale was talking about earlier, about like the students, or maybe like they do bad on a test and like maybe the teaching methods could be improved. Maybe you have to improve the environment. Maybe you have to like ask them what they need help on. Like, especially if some students aren't as like outspoken and maybe they're just not as comfortable, which I feel like that's why it's important to build a bond with your teachers as well to, you know, if you need help, like you can just ask them. They're right there.
So I'd like to bring it back to, you know, the title of this, extreme ownership. So is there any time in both of your lives that you maybe made a mistake or had something happen where you kind of realized that you were the one at fault or something like that? Like, have you ever seen these qualities of leadership in action, maybe through you or through someone else?
Well, I remember this is actually a previous example that I brought up in one of the episodes when I did bad on a math test or something. I got like a 70 on it, and it wasn't a desirable grade for me. And I was, you know, I could have said it was too hard. You know, I could have said it was too hard for me, or I'm not good at math. But what I did, I took ownership and I said the reason why I got this grade is because I wasn't paying attention, and I didn't take the steps to make sure I understood the materials. So the next time, for the next quiz, or for the next few weeks actually, I made sure I moved up closer to the board. I sat next to a smart student because they were sitting up the front of the board. But when you sit next to someone like who's serious, you don't want to like disrupt them. You want, you know, it's just kind of funny. So yeah, so I didn't want to like be weird next to them. So yeah, so I was more focused, and I made sure to ask questions and make sure I understood the material. And by the next test, I had a 99, and it's only because I was able to admit my mistake and say that it was because of the actions that I took, and I was able to find solutions for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also had, as mentioned on the episode with Mr. Knoyer, I also had a situation where like I was struggling in chemistry a lot, and I felt like instead of blaming it on like the environment or maybe blaming it on like teaching and all that, I felt like I wasn't paying attention as much as I could have. And as a result, like I took responsibility, I took action for that, and I just asked questions. And I also like watched YouTube videos myself to learn the material as well, because I felt like when I wasn't paying attention as much as I could have, I felt like I was limiting myself a lot. So I think like just taking that responsibility, it could take a burden off you and like make you realize that these excuses like maybe my circumstances aren't the best, etc. I feel like those could be like thrown out the window, and execution that could also like just help you in general.
So that was online school, right? You're
exactly.
So like
yeah.
You could have made that excuse. You could have said, "Wait, it's set up. This is bad. You know, this pandemic. This." But as you said, you took that personal responsibility, that extreme ownership, and you took those extra steps, watching those videos, and we were able to get the material down.
Yeah.
So the examples we've been talking about are school related. So I have one as well. Last year I took AP Physics. I had no prerequisite physics knowledge, and a couple of the other people also didn't in the class, and a couple of people did. And I didn't do well on the exam. I got a 1 on the AP Physics exam. I'm not proud of it, but it can't change now. You know, it's set in stone. And for a while I blamed like my lack of prerequisite knowledge. Like I didn't take physics before, so I was blaming myself for like not having that knowledge and using that as an excuse for my poor score. And I blamed the teaching style and the teacher for not engaging enough with my style of learning. But I never told him how I learned best. I never asked for help outside of class. So this year I've been trying to make a change for my current AP classes, and if something doesn't come as well to me, I've been practicing it more instead of accepting it for what it is. You know, unfortunately I wasn't able to do it then so that I could improve my AP score, but I'm using it now as a kind of jumping off point for my future scores and using it as an advantage now and accepting ownership for my lack of practice in a certain area. All right, so how do you guys think people can learn these skills in their own lives? Like we've each made mistakes, and it seems like that's kind of how we learned what to do better next time. But do you think people can learn from what we're saying here and from what other people have done in the past and improve their lives instead of having to make the same mistakes?
It sounds like, with all these events that we've had, these struggles that we had, we analyzed our thoughts and saw the excuses we made, and then we said, okay, let's take this action instead. Mindfulness, being mindful of your thoughts and where they come from and what they mean. Meditation is something that I've been getting into. It's been kind of helping me with that. But being able to recognize your thoughts and the way you're thinking, because if you don't do that, you can be moving on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
You'll start, making decisions or thinking if you identify with these thoughts. But if you're able to take a step back often and take like a look at them, you'll be able to kind of see like, is this thought really helping me, or is this actually limiting me?
Mm-hmm.
So like when it comes to, again, like with going back to your school example, Liam, it was easy. You saw the excuses you were making, the justifications for your failure, but you were like, okay, I could have done more. I realized I didn't make sure to communicate my struggle. I didn't do that, and next time I'm gonna do better. So I guess it'd be like really learn from your mistakes, right? That's really what it is, because it's like taking ownership when things happen, because bad things happen to you all the time, but some things aren't your fault, right? But maybe some things are your fault, or maybe you could have done more, or maybe you can be more prepared for the next time,
Mm-hmm.
So just really look at the things that happen and be aware of your thoughts and think about the solutions that you could have.
I also agree with that, and basically I feel like having a good plan, I feel like that could also prevent these issues as well. And I felt like if you don't have a plan, I feel like that could be completely like throw you off, because personally, like I used to like underestimate the value of planning and taking advantage of that. But now that there's like Google Calendar, there's like technology in general, I feel like I've taken better advantage of that instead of just not planning at all, because I used to like disregard like agendas, for example. So I felt like learning from those mistakes, like I took accountability and I took action to, like learn how to plan better. And I felt like that has paid off.
Like honestly, planning might not take that long. It could be like bullet points when it comes to something, or it could be more involved. But just having that idea of how you're going to tackle a situation, and especially learning from the mistake that you make in the previous time and accounting for that in your next endeavor, that's definitely going to help.
And I think what people may not realize at the time, the importance of developing these skills for yourself when you take, again, this title is like extreme ownership. That's kind of what we're going off of. So when you take extreme ownership of your own life, that prepares you for in the future when you are going to have to be taking extreme ownership within like a different setting, whether it's like a team or a corporate building or like a business. Improving your own like math score might not seem super important, but when other people see that you were able to make that change, it allows them to also be inspired that they can make that change too. Well, today we talked about extreme ownership, in our own lives, ways that we improved ourselves by taking ownership and not blaming anything else but ourselves. Through that, we were able to learn valuable lessons that we will take with us far into the future. So, I'm Liam.
I'm Cafe.
And I'm Dale.
And thank you, and we hope you get well soon.